Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
.43 degrees for the kickoff here in Veterans Stadium, and more rain expected, although it has been light. It's been mainly a drizzle this morning. Vince Tobin, coach of the Cardinals, approaching this, as he put it to us yesterday, as a playoff game. That's the way to come in here in this critical situation, 3 to play. Ray Rhodes, a long chat with him yesterday, produced, I think, the most interesting aspect, telling his players that, look, guys, we've had a difficult season. It's important for you to play well for your own futures over these last 3 games. Get some good stuff down on tape, as he put it. Comes the kickoff. Rocky's kickoff taken at the 5-yard line by Corey Walker, and some running room for him, and he tripped and fell down at the 35-yard line. A good field position for the Eagles for the opening offensive series. 29-yard return. Boy Detmer gets his 3rd start. He's 1-1. He has Trey Thomas, George Hegeman at left guard, Everett, Beckles, and Cooper across the front. Deuce Staley had 99 yards last week playing with a hernia. Kevin Turner, the fullback. Fryer, Graham, Chris Fontenot, a new tight end. Coy Detmer, brother of Ty, of course. 2nd-year player out of Colorado, spent last year on injured reserve. 7th-round choice a year ago, getting his chance as starting the season as a 3rd-string quarterback here with the Eagles. And almost picked off on the opening play. Jameer Miller well covered on Jeff Graham, and Miller nearly picked it off. Defensively for Arizona, you heard Bill Maas talk about the injury problems. Mark Maddox in there for McKinnon at the middle linebacker position. McCombs playing hurt. Chavis, Bennett, Kwame Lassiter, and Aeneas Williams, the secondary. 2nd and 10, Eagles. Staley got a couple to the 35-yard line. That'll leave 3rd down and 8.
And it was just a matter of time before the Eagles were going to test the inside of that Cardinals defense. Dave McGinnis, I don't think he slept real well this week. Because, yeah, you talked about it earlier, I talked about at the top that, you know, injuries around these, you know, they come in bunches. You know how the Green Bay Packers, all their wide receivers are hurt. Well, for the Cardinals, it's been all their defensive linemen. They have 4 starting defensive tackles out since the start of the season.
Slot formation to the right on 3rd and 8. Detmer's pass, and it is incomplete, intended for Graham. Graham got up high, had it on his fingertips, but could not hold on.
Yeah, you talked about that, Bill, the problems that they've had, but in the secondary, they've also had problems. And right there, J.B. Brown coming in on the nickel spot made an excellent play, but they have to get some production out of their defense.
Tom Hutton, first punt of the afternoon. He's standing at the 20-yard line, and Eric Metcalf back to receive for the Cardinals. Hutton's punt comes down at the 20. Metcalf dances his way out to the 25-yard line, and that's where the Cardinals will have their first offensive series.
Pretty good coverage unit by the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been excellent at it all year.
Just a 5-yard return. Jake Plummer bringing on the offense. 10 and 12 as an NFL starter. Brown, Dishman, Graham, Holmes, and Dexter across the front. Adrian Morrell, the primary running back. Larry Sanders, a good receiver from the backfield. Moore and Sanders, an outstanding pair of wide receivers. Johnny McWilliams, the tight end. They had a good first half last week against the Giants, leading 17-7 at halftime, but wound up losing 23-19. That's Morrell on 1st down, getting about 4 to the 34-yard line. Eagles defensively, like the Cardinals, they've really been hurting. Greg Jefferson moves over to right end. Steve Martin and Brandon Whiting, new starters at the tackle positions. Hugh Douglas playing hurt, so that means John Harris will go. The secondary, they at least have been healthy. Taylor, Dawkins, Zordich, and Vincent. Morrell on 2nd down, not much, about a yard to the 36-yard line.
You notice how fast the Arizona Cardinals get in and out of their huddle. What you call the sugar huddle, Ronnie. You see how they're out there right now? And they're substituting at the same time.
Yeah, when you go into that sugar huddle, and that's kind of a semi-huddle where you line up maybe about 2 or 3 yards from the ball, and then what you do is you call the play from the line of scrimmage.
Third down.
Personnel movement from the Cardinals.
Yeah, and it brought a similar group from the Eagles trying to react to it. 3rd and a long 4. Plummer's pass complete. That's Metcalf. He has a 1st down. Nice move, gets him to the 45-yard line of the Cardinals. Mike Zordich tied him up there. 14-yard gain.
Well, that's a guy, Metcalf, who has been injured for the most part of the year. And you look at the Cardinals receivers, Frank Sanders, Rob Moore, and then you bring in Metcalf in the offseason. You think, hey, that's going to improve this group even more. But he's been banged up a little bit this year.
28 catches on the season for Metcalf. He's done the job when he's had the opportunity in the return package. 136 yards last week against New York. That's complete to Sanders with running room. Sanders another 1st down to the 36-yard line of the Eagles.
Yeah, and what they're doing right now is coming into that sugar huddle, changing personnel. They're catching the Philadelphia Eagles out of position. And you can see right here, Frank Sanders is working up against Bobby Taylor, and Bobby tries to get a jam, but he doesn't work to the outside. Frank Sanders works to the outside and comes over to play.
Slot formation left on 1st down. That is Larry Centers, the fullback, carrying, and a good hard run for him, about 9 on the play, straight ahead.
One of the things that Mark Trestman, the offensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals, said is that he wanted to have to run the ball today. He wanted to put the emphasis on the run game so that they could help their defense out a little bit. It's almost playing to the defense. But I think that puts him in a predicament offensively, Ronnie. If you're not opening it up as you play your offense and you're calling this a playoff game, you could get in trouble.
2nd and a yard, and a big hole for Morrell. Morrell running hard inside the 10-yard line.
Then again, if you run like that, you're not going to get in much trouble.
That's right. And so far, Bill, this sugar huddle, this no huddle, is really put a lot of pressure on the secondary. See right there, Mike Zordich in the secondary wasn't lined up. Now he's got to make a tackle, and Adrian gives him an excellent move.
17 yards, 1st and goal. Morrell. No gain on that play.
That was Greg Jefferson in there. See, Greg Jefferson is normally the Eagles' left end. He's over on the right side now because of the injury to Hugh Douglas. And that brings up John Harris. John Harris now has to start at left end. And John Harris on the last play was manhandled by James Dexter. And that was that big hole you saw in there that Adrian Morrell hit. All the Eagles coaches said, John Harris, this is a big game for him against Dexter. He has to step up. He was a 1st-round pick in 1997, and this game for him is pivotal for his career.
8th play of this first drive by Arizona. 2nd and goal, right at the 10-yard line. Plummer has time, and the ball is dropped incomplete. That was Rob Moore, unable to hold on. Ball and the defender arrived at the same time.
We talk about the Cardinals' defensive problems, but the Eagles, too, are banged up in the same spot. Harris now is up. He's usually the 2nd team. He's over there at left end. Greg Jefferson comes over to here, and he plays right end. And then Steve Martin and Brandon Whiting are in there at tackles. And Steve Martin, they just signed him a few weeks ago when Indianapolis waived him. Brandon Whiting's a backup as well, just a rookie free agent. Played pretty well, though, this year. When he's given the opportunity, he's played well.
Eagles take a timeout. There's a good look at Brandon Whiting, and he was eager about a start today. We'll be back to the vet in a moment.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
Mark Trestman, the offensive coordinator, he talked about, he said he's got to help his defense out and mix in the run game along with the pass game. But he's gone this no huddle, Ronnie, and that's really taxing the Philadelphia Eagles defense right off the bat.
Yeah, if you want to help the defense, or if you want to help me, Mark Trestman, what I want you to do is score a lot of points.
And they're pretty good once they're inside the red zone over the course of this year.
3rd and goal. Slot left. Plummer changing it up.
Here they come.
Short drop, fade. Sanders can't get there.
Just a little bit much by Plummer. He saw the blitz coming. He checked to that fade route. As soon as he saw the linebackers up for the Eagles, he saw them get up inside the box and check to the fade, just put a little too much on it. Take a look. He sees them up here. He calls the right play. It's the right audible. It's just a little too much air on the ball for Frank Sanders.
And that's one of the things right there. You want to see Frank Sanders. Maybe he can lay out, because if you can get one hand on it, maybe you can lay out and get that.
You're an optimist.
I love to be.
Chris Jackie, their new kicker, played last week, had one short field goal, and he connects here from 28 to open the scoring in this game at Veterans Stadium. Arizona 3, the Eagles nothing. For Chris Jackie, his second field goal as a Cardinal, 8 years with the Green Bay Packers. Contract dispute a couple of years ago had him out of Green Bay. Had one shot with Washington last year, hadn't kicked since then. And so far, 2 for 2 as a Cardinal. 28 yards for their score. This is Alan Rossum turning Jackie's kickoff. Gets out to about the 28-yard line of Philadelphia. 28-yard return, 65 yards in 10 plays, 359 taken off the clock.
There's Billy Musgrave. And, you know, here's this experience. These are his offensive coordinators he was under at each place he was at. And this is a guy, he was a player. He was a quarterback. A lot of you may not know, but he was a quarterback. He was in San Fran. He was with Denver. He was with the Raiders. And most recently, he was with Indianapolis this year in camp. So in a lot of aspects, he has the knowledge, but he's still like a player to these guys on the Eagles team.
On first down, Deuce Staley. Staley gets about 3, running straight ahead. Remember, both these teams with starters out at the tackle positions on defense. Rashad Swinger has been there for several weeks because of the injury to Eric Swan that has him on injured reserve now. And Mark Smith, with an ankle injury suffered last week, out today. They hope to have him back next week. Bernard Wilson goes there. Almost 5 the gain for Staley, 2nd and 5. Staley again. Tried to cut it back outside when he ran into traffic, wound up with a gain of a little over a yard.
You know, you talked about that defensive line, and, you know, you talked about the tackles. Everybody's talking about the tackles, but Simeon Rice didn't practice all week long. There's Jameer Miller, and that's Andre Wadsworth. But on the other side is Simeon Rice, and he couldn't practice. He had a rib injury, like torn cartilage under his rib, and that can be painful. So you talk about the defensive tackles who are out, but also Simeon Rice is out there playing injured as well.
Maddox playing with a bad knee. McCombs with a toe injury. So they are a banged-up defense all around. On third down, the ball is batted away.
Nice swat. That was Bernard. No, that was Carl Simpson.
Carl Simpson, number 78, got his hand up on it.
Carl Simpson brought in. He was with the Bears most recently. Here he is, 78. He gets a push right here, and he gets his hand up. Watch the hand up. Bang. Swats it right back in Coy's face. And that, hey, if you can't sack him, that's one way to disrupt the whole thing. You get that push and his defensive lineman, you get in that passer's view and get your hands up.
Eagles 3 and out again. Tom Hutton stands at his 22, hits from the 25. Metcalf waiting for it at the Cardinal 18-yard line, and a great open field tackle. He dropped immediately. That is Corey Walker. 46-yard punt, a 2-yard loss. At Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, such a big game for the Cardinals. They finish up with New Orleans and San Diego at home. That's a huge one next week because of course, the Saints are still also in the wild card playoff picture.
Hey, Tim, did you know we have a Cookie Monster in the booth? I'm sitting beside the Cookie Monster. Right here beside me, Ronnie Lott. He stole some cookies from the hotel, brought them up here in a napkin. Pre-game meal.
All right, well, you know, you got to have that sugar hit. First down, this is Morrell. Ran into his own blocker. Metcalf now cuts it back to the left. Here comes Plummer to block for him. Plummer got a piece of a guy.
And a face mask.
And it is all the way out to about the 49-yard line.
Put 15 more on top of that with a face mask.
31-yard run by Adrian Morrell. The play designed to go to the right. He took it all the way back the other way.
That's what Adrian Morrell does. Adrian Morrell is a shifty guy. He looks, he bounces, it's not there.
Number 20,
he tries to string it out.
Defense.
He'll take it back.
First down.
Now watch Plummer come zipping up here. Look at Jake. He gets in front there. He tries to get a block on Doc, but Doc right there grabs a face mask. That's another 15-yard penalty. Huge play.
Saw Dawkins try to release quickly there, hoping he might only get 5, if any. Watch it here.
That right there, by Jake Plummer just doing that, I promise you, when Monday comes, they throw on the film, all the guys are going to love that. They just love quarterbacks to block.
Morrell again. Stopped just over the line of scrimmage. Good tackle by John Harris.
You know, Adrian Morrell's a back. Remember, they got him. They traded for him from the Jets. They got him in here and this year. And in the first meeting this year, he just took it to the Eagles.
145 yards, 101 of it in the fourth quarter. This was a game-clinching touchdown with a little less than 2 minutes to play in a 17-3 Cardinal win. 2nd and 9. Plummer rolling to the right, hits the tight end Gedney. Not much good coverage that time, and it was Willie Thomas, number 51, picking up Gedney. Got a couple of yards at most.
You know, Morrell, they brought him in here from the Jets. The Cardinals were looking for a back that could help this offense go. Mark Trestman puts in the West Coast offense, and he really didn't have a back. And honestly, they still don't have the back they want. They want a power running back that's going to pound it right up in their middle. With Morrell, you get a shifty back that makes things happen. He makes plays out of nothing, but he's more of a darter and a dancer and looking for a gap instead of a straight-ahead power guy. But he's been effective for the Cardinals this year.
His 31-yard run has them in Eagles territory here. 3rd down.
Oh.
And a sack on Plummer back to the 40-yard line. Willie Thomas.
The Eagles are in a situation when you have nothing to lose, you come after it. Watch the blitz here. Here's Willie Thomas, but watch, they bring everybody. There's more coming than there is people to block. And Willie Thomas gets free there, and what a smack he puts on Plummer. And you can afford to do that, Ronnie. When you're in the situation the Eagles are in, what the heck? Nobody thinks you're going to win. The season's a loss for you. It's okay to roll the dice.
And if it's one guy that's going to play with some life, it's Willie Thomas.
Scott Player, the punter, standing at the 46 of Arizona. Freddie Solomon waiting for it at the 10. Signals fair catch, and he makes it right at the 9-yard line. So the Eagles will start from there, trailing 3-0 after the 31-yard punt from Scott Player.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Smooth, Refreshing Michelob Light. Beer for Michelob. By Circuit City. Answers in every department. Low prices all over the store. By Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. And by Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
We are back here at Philadelphia, and downtown Philadelphia, the holiday music underway for the Christmas season. First down from the 8-yard line of the Eagles. Scott Player's punt. Detmer still looking for his first completion, and he's still looking. That one now. Late flag comes down. Graham, the intended receiver.
They got Corey Chavis. He was the guy that was draped on him.
Yeah, he was draped on him, and he tried to climb the ladder by going up top.
Pass interference. 25, defense. First down.
Anytime you come over the back to get to the ball, they're usually going to get you. Watch them. See them come over the top. That's when they get you. When you come over the back.
Chavis, the 22-year-old rookie from Vanderbilt. That's their first down. It comes on a penalty for the Eagles. Chavis, the culprit for Arizona. Irving Fryer in motion. Staley running behind Turner. Not much for him. Maybe 3 on the play for Deuce Staley. 99 against St. Louis.
You know, you talk about a guy getting some yards, Deuce Staley, and then the guy leading for him is Kevin Turner. Talk about a tough hombre. Kevin Turner's been through a lot with the Philadelphia Eagles. He had that big knee injury, and then this past offseason he had the back surgery, and this week his back was bothering him on where he had the surgery, so he went to a spine specialist. Got it checked out. They said he was okay.
Staley again, trying to find room on the right side. Got a couple more. Help from the secondary. Kwame Lassiter came up for the stop.
You know, and the Eagles' offensive line and their offense is trying to test to see where the weakness is in the defensive front of the Cardinals. And thus far, Ronnie, it's not there. And a lot of times, you know, when something happens, hey, you know, you're decimated by injuries and somebody has to step up, that's when you really rally. Hey, Bubba Miller's in now on his 3rd and 2. He comes in as a tight end, number 65. Hey, he's lined up over here. There's big Bubba Miller.
305-pound backup center normally because of their loss of 2 tight end injuries. Miller getting some time out there as a blocker, and that's going to be short of the first down.
And Miller had to push.
I think that's the first down there. I think they got enough, Tim.
Yeah, I think now with the spot, you're dead right, Ronnie. They did.
Miller had to push on that side. I'll tell you, I thought the back did made a mistake by cutting it up inside of him instead of bouncing it off Miller.
They just got it. They spot it right near the 25-yard line.
Watch Bubba Miller. Watch this down block right here. Watch 65. He gets that push. Boom. There it is. Now, cut it outside of him. They chose to cut it inside of him where all the traffic was. That was close.
Staley managed to grind that out. First down, Eagles. They may not have beaten
ran
the clock.
down.
Yep. Delay a game.
Offense.
You know what that delay was from? That delay was because they weren't sure whether they had the first down or not. They were getting up slow, and no one knew if they had the first down, and they were kind of milling around. And the officials didn't signal first down right away, so there was no play called in from the sideline. The guys are standing in the huddle, weren't sure if it was a first down or not. Yeah, and Ray Rhodes is complaining just for what you just said. You got to be able to reset the clock.
Johnny Greer, the referee today. First and 15, Eagles. Pitch out for Staley. Staley with a burst of speed and then drags a tackler with him over the 30 to the 31-yard line, 11-yard pickup.
We were talking about Kevin Turner and how Deuce Staley's getting these yards. I want you to watch the fullback, number 34. Watch this block on number 50, McCombs. Right there. This is it. Boom. He takes McCombs out of the picture, and then you get Everett downfield, and there's your opening. And that big kid, Trey Thomas, on the tackle of Simeon Rice, blew Simeon Rice right out of there as well.
2nd and 4 for the Eagles. Staley again. Staley breaks a tackle and has the first down. Good effort by Staley. He was picked the team offensive MVP by the players on the Eagles for his efforts this year. He came into the game with 760 yards rushing. We
talked about that triangle in the middle for the Cardinals. Mark Maddox, number 53, the linebacker. Watch the fill he gets here, and he actually has Staley in the backfield. Bang! He's right there. He's wrapped up, and he can't bring him down. It's Staley's extra effort that pushes through it, and that's where Robert McKinnon usually plays.
37 yards now for Staley. That's complete to the tight end, Fontenot, Chris Fontenot.
And this is where you see Billy Musgrave right here doing an excellent job mixing the play, running a waggle. You'll see right here he fakes the pitch. Deuce Staley's starting to get some penetration. But when you get penetration running the ball, now you can come back with the play action.
There it is right here. Block and then off.
First pass completion leaves second and less than a yard. First pass completion for Detmer, and again, play is whistled dead before they get it off. And a discussion here by the officials on the far side.
Yeah, Aeneas Williams.
Delay of game. Defense, number 35, attempting to create a false start. Yeah. That's a 5-yard penalty. First down.
Okay, see what they do now. See, the referee says delay a game. Well, you right away you think clock. Well, it's not a clock. The new rule this year is you can't flinch anywhere along the line of scrimmage. Aeneas Williams was up, and he flinched to try to draw Jeff Graham offside. But the rule is it's a 5-yard penalty, which falls under the guidelines of delay a game defense. It has nothing to do with the clock.
So first down in Arizona territory for the Eagles. Deep drop by Detmer. Up the middle, wide open, Fontenot, the tight end. Dropped by Lassiter at the 30-yard line. But a first down. Let's go for an NFL update to James Brown.
Tim, that Saints defense was impenetrable last week against Dallas. Take a look today. Second touchdown given up. Chandler to Mathis. DBs cancel themselves out. 62 yards to pay dirt. 14-0 Falcons over the Saints. Back to Tim, Bill, and Ronnie.
Atlanta helping the Arizona cause. Saints still in the wild card picture. First down inside the 30. Dietrich Gels in as a wide receiver. Staley dropped behind the line. Jameer Miller blowing in on the blitz. Ran right into the ball carrier.
And what I liked there was how Jameer Miller was able to tackle him. He talked about his sore wrist yesterday, Bill.
Watch the linebackers come. They jump inside here. There's Miller. He takes the inside right underneath the block of the tight end, wraps up Staley. And look at that arm. See right there? He's got that cast on his arm. The guy has played all season long with a dislocated wrist. Now imagine that, folks, a dislocated wrist. And he says when it hurts the most is when it's cold and rainy. He can't get the proper grip.
4-yard loss on Miller's tackle. Detmer rolling to the right, trying to find an open man. Throws it out of bounds down the sideline. Good coverage by the Cardinals in the secondary.
You know, we talked about Detmer, and we talked about, hey, a little bit of Jake Plummer in him, and he does. And he does have a little bit of Jake Plummer in him. And the fact that he's improvisational. He gets out of the pocket, he runs around, and he tries to make things happen on his own. And that's really when he's at his best. But, you know, you talk about everybody's looking at Detmer and saying it's 2 games, this is the guy. Well, last year it was 2 games, it was Hoying was the guy. And if you look back through the Eagles' history, it's always been a quarterback that's had a few good games.
4 receivers, there's a pick. That's Bennett, Tommy Bennett. Nobody will catch him. Tommy Bennett's going to go the distance for the score.
And that's what I'm talking about. When you talk about the quarterback in Philadelphia, when you get down into your 3rd guy playing quarterback, and if he has a few good games, everybody loves him. But when the truth of the matter is, when he has to be called on week in and week out, things like that occur.
Yeah, and the reason they occur is that he took a pre-snap read to look at the secondary. He thought he saw 2 deep there. Bennett stepped up in the flat area, came up, made the interception, and that's what happens. Yeah, you're a young guy, Bill, as you talked about, but man, you got to be able to read everything.
And nobody from the Cardinals pulled off their belt and did the spanking.
70 yards. The return after the interception. Bennett's 2nd interception of the season. Chris Jackie for the point after. Cardinals widen their lead.
You can see here, watch this play. He baits him, Bennett makes the play, and he takes it all the way back to the end zone.
And that's the end of the first quarter. $70 yards the return for the 3rd-year man from UCLA. And the kickoff taken at the 5-yard line. Alan Rossum. Rossum gets out to about the 29. First play of the 2nd quarter, 25-yard return, and Tommy Bennett has Arizona up 10-10.
The Arizona coaches talked about playoff time. Well, this is what you do on playoff time. Your defense has to score points. Look at it, the turnovers. Last 7 games right here. And, of course, that's 14 now and 17. And you want to get to the playoffs, you want to make a push, your defense has to find a way, even if they're on their 3rd-string guys playing.
2nd interception of the season for Bennett. This is Staley on 1st down. Staley gets about 4 for the Eagles, stopped by Carl Simpson. Simpson, number 78, 6-year backup from Florida State, picked up as a free agent this year from Chicago. Detmer, 2 of 7 passing, 28 yards and the 1 interception.
You know, we talked to Ray Rhodes yesterday, and he said, somehow, some way, to win this game, our offense has to score 30 points. He said, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we've got to find a way.
2nd and 6. Detmer, that's complete to Graham. Graham has the 1st down at the 40-yard line. Jeff Graham.
And he's a guy we figured would have a good game. Jeff Graham is a heck of a receiver. Good route runner, always stays after it, sure-handed guy. Dave McGinnis had him when he was first up in Chicago, and Wanstad up in Chicago made the comment that that was one guy he wished never got away from him, Jeff Graham, because their offense, when he left, went downhill.
And the reason why, it's simple. The guy's a professional. He comes to play. Not a lot of guys that play that position come to play every day. He does.
1st down, Staley. Not much there for him off right tackle. Yard at the most. Lassiter coming up, getting into it, and we mentioned Staley against the Rams at 99 yards last Thursday night, a week ago Thursday, and he accomplished that playing with a hernia that was obviously troubling him, but not so much that he couldn't run with that kind of effort. And I think that's the kind of effort he's given them all season long. Remember, Charlie Garner gone to injured reserve, so more of a burden for Staley to be carrying the ball.
Well, not only has he been effective running the ball for the Eagles, but he's also been effective catching the ball. He's the #1 receiver on the Eagles team with 47 receptions.
And the Eagles have a timeout called So we'll take that timeout from Veterans Stadium with the Cardinals leading 10-0. 13:01 to go first half.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. By Citizen. Today more than ever, Citizen is how the world tells time. By Subway. The way a sandwich should be. And by Fetzer Vineyards. These are the days. Fetzer days. Enjoy the wine.
We're back at Veterans Stadium. Close-up look at Jake the Snake Plummer, Arizona State star, Boise, Idaho, and a delightful young guy in addition to being one of the coming major stars in the National Football League. Second down and 9 for Detmer. Detmer has his man and Pryor holds on. Great job of concentration and hanging on with a defender all over him. 22 yards and a first down.
You know, the Eagles quarterbacks over the year have been sacked so many times.
But right here, what you see is Fryer trying to get across the field. The one thing that we talked about Graham, he brings a certain professionalism to the game. So does Fryer. Both these guys are excellent receivers in catching the football.
On second down, on first down, pardon me, Staley gets about 4 inside the 35-yard line. The Arizona Cardinals here in the second quarter. We have 12:13 to go to halftime. McCombs made the tackle. He's playing with a aggravated turf toe on a cold, wet surface here in Philadelphia. Ray Rhodes trying to pep up the troops along the sideline. Detmer gives it to Staley again. Deuce Staley. He's short of the first down. He got down to about the 30. It'll leave a couple.
Right, take a look there. We've talked about the triangle in here, and that's where the Cardinals defenders are all new because of the injuries, and they've been running right at that. There's no doubt about it. They're attacking the middle of the Cardinals defense to find out what they have there. They've run the ball 9 times so far, right at the heart of the Cardinals defense. Richard Cooper down for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right tackle number 77. Came over from New Orleans as a free agent in 1996. So they've had their injuries on the defensive side of the ball, as have the Cardinals. And now they've got one on their offensive line.
Yeah, you know, you look at this team, and the thing that's really hurt this team is that they haven't had any consistency at the quarterback spot. They haven't had any consistency within the offense. And talking with Ray Rhodes, you know, the one thing that I got a sense that Ray, I think right now he knows that these next 3 games are his last 3 games here, and I think he's come to grips with that. I'm sure that, yeah, the people have talked about that all season long, but I think right now, my sense that he is now going to move on and do something else.
We've got a timeout on the field here with the Eagles 3rd and 2 at the Arizona 30. We'll be right back. Eagles tackle Richard Cooper slow to get up and slow to walk off the field here. His team, meanwhile, has a 3rd and a little less than 3 for the first down.
Well, they bring Barrett Brooks in, number 76, and then Bubba Miller's in there too. Anytime it's 3rd and short, see big Bubba Miller? 65, here he is right here, coming up to the line of scrimmage.
What's that play they call to him?
They call, well, they have a pass play in, it's called throwback to Bubba. But they're not going to call it on it right here.
He's not even counting on seeing them throw the ball to him. Staley off tackle. Staley, touchdown.
Hey, that was all Bubba Miller. Hey, they don't have to throw it back to Bubba Miller. They'll just run behind Big Bubba. That was Bubba Miller, the tight end, came in, the backup center, comes over there to tight end, and pushed that whole side down, caved it down, and then even got up on the linebacker to create a wall. He's about a half a wall as it is.
Well over 300 pounds. Bubba Miller at 6'1", the 3-year man from Tennessee, playing out there at the tight end position. Remember, they have lost Jason Dunn and Cassine Cinceno, their 2 regular season tight ends, and they've got Chris Fontenot and Andrew Jordan.
It looks like musical chairs right now.
Because Cooper's out, they got to replace him, and they're trying to figure out what to do.
The point after is good.
You know, Ray Rhodes talked to the guys. He said about, hey, you know, you have to come out here in these last 3 weeks and play for your jobs. You have to put something down on tape to show that you're worth something so that someone else will take a look at you. A new coach comes in here. Look at that push and look at that alley created by Bubba Miller for Deuce Staley.
Staley has carried the ball on 14 of the 23 plays of the Eagles so far.
Boom, look at that. George Hageman with a block there. That's the power O, folks. That's what it's called. That play is called the power O. You line a big tight end up out there, you get the down block and bring the backside guard across to kick out, and there's an alley there.
Well, you talked about that triangle. I think it lost a corner there. A corner of that triangle.
Did it get washed away?
I think it got washed away.
Deuce Staley, 30 yards for the score.
See, look. See him looking up there like that? All players, whether you make a good play or a bad play, you always look up at the Jumbotron. You watch the replay and try to see what happened to you. Anytime you see a player on the field looking up after a play, that's what they're doing. You always look at the Jumbotron because you're thinking in your head, oh, what happened? What did I see? What did I do? And you get a chance to see it again, whether it's a good play or a bad play.
Guys, something to keep in mind. The Cardinals defense, bruised and battered, was on the field the last 9 minutes and 27 seconds. And that's not what the Cardinals want today for this team that is so decimated by injury. Boniol's kickoff comes down at the 6-yard line, dropped momentarily by Metcalf. Metcalf will only get to the 15.
That coverage unit for Philadelphia Eagles by the punt and kickoff team has been exceptional. John Harbaugh has done an outstanding job. He's raised this group up 10 or so notches from where they were last year. There's John Harbaugh.
You know, you talk about...
Yeah, look at the numbers here, Ronnie. 25th to 7th this year.
Yeah, and you talk about John Harbaugh. I started looking at this staff, too. And there goes a guy that should be coaching in this league for a long time.
You mentioned Ray Rhodes and that he's not going to be here after the season. He knows it. Let me tell you something. Ray Rhodes and this coaching staff are good, and they will be coaching elsewhere.
On first down, the Cardinals. This is Morrell, and Morrell finds room. Picks up 7, maybe 8 on the play.
You know, you talked to a bunch of the players on this team. Zordich, we talked to him yesterday. He said it's the best staff he's ever been on. He says, you know, you can walk into Ray's office and talk to him, and we've both coached under Ray, Ronnie, you and I, and he is like that. He has a reputation with the players, and all his coaching staff is the same way. John Harbaugh. Steve Everett said the only reason he came to Philadelphia was for Ray Rhodes.
2nd and 2. Morrell takes it outside. Good reaction defensively. That is Brian Dawkins coming up to prevent him from getting the first down, depending on the spot of the ball.
And you talk about in the era of free agency when guys come in and look, nobody wants to go play on AstroTurf, or they want nice facilities, they want all these amenities. Ray Rhodes has the ability to get people in here. He could have landed Mark Brunell 3 years ago.
And he said that if they got Mark Brunell, he would have convinced Mark Brunell that he would have liked this place. He would have loved this facility.
And anybody that ever coaches under Ray Rhodes, the players play for him, and they love him. And the problem is, though, you've got to get some quality, top-notch players in here all the time and keep them in here when you get picked apart because they've lost a bunch.
Cardinals have taken a timeout with a 3rd and 2 in their own territory. Coming next, the second half of our doubleheader on Fox. Troy Aikman and the Cowboys in Kansas City, where Andre Rison and the Chiefs look to slow down the Cowboys' playoff hopes. If Dallas can win there, or if Arizona loses here, Dallas can clinch.
And John Madden will be there, of course, doing the Dallas game in Kansas City, and you know he'll have that barbecue sauce all over him. He'll be eating those ribs like we were 2 weeks ago.
Hey, but you know something? I think something's under the tarp.
It's a Christmas present.
Is it a cheesesteak?
It's a Christmas present.
I think it's a cheesesteak under there.
Philly cheesesteaks.
Well, it has been drizzling here, just covering up our monitors and electronic equipment. Morrell is at centers, Larry Centers, trying to get to the first down marker. The Eagles think they've stopped him. And
Is that Brian Dawkins?
William Thomas was in on the hit, and down is Wallace. Al Wallace, defensive end, number 96, first-year man out of Maryland.
Yeah, that's an area, too, for the Eagles. They can't afford any more losses on the defensive line.
Already with Red Hall and Mike Mamula gone for the season. Bill
Hugh
Johnson,
Douglas
Hollis,
with a pulled
Thomas.
groin.
Yeah, Douglas with a groin muscle pull has not seen much action today. Thomas and Johnson, their starting tackles much of the season, gone recently to IR. very much like the Cardinals in that defensive front. They've had serious injuries affecting their starters. Measurement going on in the midst of the Eagles. You can see they care about this. They're all out there huddled. Meanwhile, Al Wallace still down getting attention. It is a first down for the Cardinals at the 26-yard line of Arizona.
Yeah, you know, Al Wallace has a basketball body, and he's worked really hard this offseason to put some weight on, to try to bulk himself up. Yeah, he was a first-round pick coming in here, but he knew that he had to.
6'5", 260-pounder. And you can see he's hurting a bit.
Yeah, you know, and when you get on this wet turf too, Ronnie, sometimes, you know, you get that plant. Sometimes you wear the turf shoes, and you get the ones with the extra nubs on there because it's a little wet and a little slippery. And sometimes you get stuck.
Yeah, and right there you can see them testing his knee to see if it's still intact. You know, right there they're checking the ligaments.
And they've been using him as a pass rusher, and of course with Hugh Douglas down, they've had to do whatever they can. They moved Jefferson over to play the rundowns from the right side, and John Harris up to the left defensive end. So Al Wallace, a key backup guy, to the defensive ends. And we've got a little timeout here on the field while they attend to Al Wallace. Let's go to JB.
Hey, Tim, take a look at the guy Ronnie Lott knows too well. Skip Hicks, who went in for the injured Terry Allen. This is his second touchdown scamper of the day. Big hole on that one. Washington, hey, time to break them up. They lead by the score of 21-3. Back to Tim, Big Bill, and Ronnie.
JB, I know you know him as well. That's a Redskin. I know you got to know that guy right there, Skip Hicks.
Buccaneers will be playing the Redskins in Washington next week. That's a Saturday game, 3:30 Eastern time.
And Tampa Bay very much alive too, and they're up right now 6-3 over Pittsburgh. And if you look at Tampa's schedule, they can get by today. They go to Washington and then at Cincinnati. And if they can win out, you see them right there. If they can win out, they'd lock up. Now for Arizona, they need one of these, especially this one right here. But they need 2 of the next 3 games to get themselves in.
As we said, Vince Tobin telling them this is a playoff game for them today, right here. They lead 10-7. Henry Slay has come in defensively, and that's Morrell. First down yardage for Adrian Morrell. Mike Caldwell, the linebacker, finally pulled him down after a gain of 11.
Watch Henry Slade right here. This is the backside slip block where he comes in and then he gets cut down at the knees. 95. This is where the hole is. Bang. Right there. There's the cut and there's the hole.
And on first down again, Morrell gets almost another 10. He picked up about 9 at the right tackle side. Dawkins, the safety, had to come up.
Well, we talked about the triangle on the Arizona side. It's a triangle as well on the Philadelphia side that they got to really take care of.
Well, you know, a lot of those injuries come because of those cut blocks. Like we just saw the backside cut, and that's been the thing. Mark Smith for the Arizona Cardinals, here he is. Watch the backside cut. Engage with the guard, and the tackle comes out and rolls up on his knee. And that's a legal block, but that took him out. He's gone now. He can't play this game. Might not be able to come back for the rest of the season.
I can't believe you said that was a legal block.
I know it's legal. It is legal. I have to say that because it is illegal.
I know
it's not a flag, but to me, it's not of the ethics of the game. And that's what defensive linemen go nuts about, is that cut block right there. You talk about unprotected players. You know, you can't hit the quarterback. He's an unprotected player. You can't hit the wide receiver when he's laying out because he's unprotected. How about a defensive lineman that's engaged with another one and then a guy comes and wipes his knees out? To me, that's unprotected as well.
Cardinals second and short. Morrell came up just short. 84 yards to that point on 10 carries in the game, and we still have 8:20 to go in the first half. So Adrian Morrell having an outstanding start. Larry Sanders picked up the first down.
Well, you know, after that Philadelphia drive, you saw how Philadelphia marched down the field. Now Arizona has to come back and chew up the clock and kind of bleed Philadelphia a little bit. Let them bleed defensively so that they're helping their own defense out.
First down from midfield. Intended for centers, incomplete. Willis, the linebacker. Bobby Taylor, the cornerback, on the coverage.
Yeah, you know, the defensive line coach, Mike Dragovic, there he is right there. Really animated guy. It's 4th year in the league, and he says he doesn't call his line the defensive line. He calls it the depleted line. He has just as many injuries as Arizona has, and he has to find a way to get pursuit outside on Jake Plummer.
Morrell again, and Morrell picks up 5 or 6. They're going to give him 6 yards on the carry, closer to 7 for Morrell. Steve Martin made the tackle.
You know, and look for Philadelphia. Turgovic's lost Billy Johnson last week, Hall at the beginning of the season, Mike Mamula, a pass rusher, Hollis Thomas last week, who was playing exceptionally well. One of the young, bright defensive tackles in this league, Hollis Thomas, and he's out. Now you have to go and plug in just about anybody. They go get Steve Martin, number 73, right here, who was waived by Indianapolis, has to come in, and now he's your starter.
Call it a 6-yard pickup, 3rd and 4. Swing pass is batted away. The linebacker, Ike Reese, number 58.
That's the speed they bring in. What they do is they bring in this package. It's called Apache package, and they bring them in, and they get some speed outside because they don't have any speed out here to keep Jake from going out of the pocket. So watch on the outside. There's Reese around the corner. He gets his hands up and bats the ball down. What you want to do is get that speed rush upfield so that you keep them contained. And the Cardinals are going for it on 4th down.
4th and 4.
Mark Trestman says he always has a 4th down call ready.
Eagles 44-yard line. Good time for Plummer. Complete to Rob Moore. First down to the 28-yard line of the Eagles.
What I saw there was Jake Plummer standing in the pocket. He was getting ready to tuck it, and then he saw Rob Moore come open. That right there, watch this. He's getting ready to pull. No, he goes, oh, I see him. I see him. And he unloads.
Watch Vincent downfield, Ronnie. Vincent right there, he passes him off outside thinking he's coming back in on the hook, knowing that Jake usually has that ball out in about 3 seconds, and then Rob worked his way back out to the sidelines in front of the safety.
Morrell again, cuts it back into the middle of the field. About a 3-yard pickup for Morrell. William Thomas on the hit.
Yeah, Bill, you talked about the power run game, and right there was an aspect of the game where they need Adrian Morrell to get right up in the gap. They don't want to see him dancing around, especially right here in this situation where they can take advantage of it and put some push right in the middle of that defense.
Well, he's pushing them all right. He's pushing the Eagles defense with 92 yards on 12 carries before halftime. That's sensational.
He needs to average 74 a game the last 3 for 1,000 yards. Here he is catching the ball, and another first down for Adrian Morrell.
And that was a blown coverage right there. Adrian came open, but that was a blown coverage.
Well, actually what happened is Morrell didn't block. He's supposed to stay in a block. When they show blitz like this, Ronnie, watch right here. They blitz, and Morrell doesn't pick up. He slips underneath it, and as soon as he slips underneath it, he turns around. Right here, he's supposed to pick up. See him duck it? He ducks it, and it was excellent timing by Jake on getting rid of the ball.
First down, Arizona at the 12. They converted a 4th down to get here. Morrell running hard, still going.
Fumble.
Dropped the ball.
The fumble is recovered by Willis.
Eagles have it at the 7-yard line. Adrian Morrell, who had done everything you could ask, running the football for 92 yards, catching one for a first down to get him in deep, tops it up at the 6.
Well, and that hurts Arizona. Arizona prides itself on getting points out of the red zone. They're number 1 in the NFL when they're in the red zone and scoring touchdowns. Last couple weeks, they've struggled.
Willis recovered for the Eagles. James Willis recovering that fumble for the Eagles.
Yeah, Eagles defense gets out of that one. I mean, they gave up 78 yards on this drive. Watch Brian Dawkins. Morrell tries to switch the ball in his other hand, and when he does that, Dawkins just pulls it out.
And that's a no-no. You can't do that, and that's the one thing that the Arizona Cardinals, they got to protect the football in the red zone.
Cardinals have got 78 yards in 13 plays. And it's Eagle ball, and that is Deuce Staley battling out to the 14-yard line. The only saving grace for Arizona, they took 5:25 off the clock. 5:30 remains in the first half. Arizona leading by 3. Al Wallace report on him, his knee probably won't be back. Richard Cooper was poked in the eye. That's why they were keeping him on the field for quite some time before he came off. I'm not sure if he'll be able to return, the offensive right tackle. This is Staley. And Staley has the first down over the 20-yard line of Philadelphia.
Guess what? Cooper has returned, and that was his block that opened that whole thing up. So his eye's okay. I guess he can see all right now. Did he get a shield put on there? I think he has a shield. Yeah, he's got a shield. See the glass shield he has? Now watch the block he gets right here. Bang! Down inside. Now look at that alley. Everett gets out there, and Cooper has a seal on the corner.
It's been a battle of two running backs. Morrell for Arizona approaching 100 yards, and now Deuce Staley has 89 for the Eagles. And here he is again. And he nearly burst through.
You know, I like that when I see a running back when he gets skinny. You know, you talk about running backs getting skinny. You can actually see him get skinny in there. His body kind of got long as the hole was closing in on him, and he gave him just their waist. And as they were trying to grab his waist, he slid through.
What's our problem, man?
I've been trying to get skinny for a long time.
I've been trying to get skinny too, man.
Neither one of us are running backs. Only running backs know how to get skinny.
Terry Irving is in for Mark Maddox at the middle linebacker spot on this second and short. Staley trying to pick his way, and he does. He has the yardage. Swarm of Cardinals on him, but he has made the first down.
Now he goes over 100. That's his first 100-yard game so far. And you know, see where they're going? They're attacking the middle. Watch it. Here's the down block here. They see what they got here. Here's Bubba Miller, and this is Jordan. So they're overloaded. This is like an overload here. And then they bring Hageman around, and Deuce cuts it back up inside. But no matter where they start the play, they come back to the middle of the Cardinals defense, because that's where it's ailing.
They give Staley a rest, and Mike Reed, a second fullback, is in. Detmer throwing to Turner, dropped the ball. Kevin Turner, fullback number 34, dropped the ball. Tony McCombs, the linebacker number 50, had the coverage.
You know, and we're talking about these banged up defensive lines. This guy's hurt, that guy's hurt, this guy's hurt. All these guys are hurt, and then you look and you think of what they're doing offensively. They were having some big numbers from Staley and Adrian Morrell. Carl Simpson, number 78, he's in now, and give Bernard Wilson a blow, 94. And they got to give Bernard Wilson a blow, and they got to rotate those guys because they're not used to playing a full game.
Well, I don't know if Staley is either. They got him on the sideline right now taking a breather.
Second and 10. Pryor in motion. Detmer going deep for Graham. Graham has it. Williams stops him, but not before he got to the 22-yard line of Arizona.
We talked about Jeff Graham, and we talked about the way he plays this game and how he approaches it. I mean, there's not much size, not much strength, not much speed, not much move, but a whole heck of a lot of determination and a good route runner. He gets Aeneas Williams man-on-man outside, and there's the post.
And I'm not sure why Aeneas Williams opened up the gate so he could run the post, because they didn't have any safety help.
Because I don't think anybody respects his speed. All the years the Graham's been playing, I don't think anybody respects his speed.
Deuce Staley diving down to the 15-yard line of Arizona. Eagles threatening the bomb to Jeff Graham, putting them deep into Cardinal territory.
And here comes the big package again. And on comes Bubba Miller, and they keep Andrew Jordan out there as well. Now, Andrew Jordan, number 49, remember he was up in Minnesota? He was there. They got him listed at about 245 pounds. He's actually about 270. Now, watch this overload here. You have the center, guard, you get the tackle, and watch. Then you get Bubba Miller. You got it's like an offset line.
And we have reached the 2-minute warning here at Veterans Stadium. Arizona 10, Eagles 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, timeouts remaining in the first half. Arizona 2, Philadelphia 1. Second and 4 for the Eagles.
Third string middle linebacker Terry Irving in here on a 2nd and 4. Deuce Staley gets wide, and he has the first down to the 10-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal, Eagles. Injuries continue to plague the defense of Arizona. In fact, Patrick Sapp is in for Tony McCombs.
Yeah, you can have injuries, Tim, but you got to be able to tackle. And right there, I saw poor tackling.
There's Sapp, number 55. He's in for McCombs at the weak linebacker spot. And then Terry Irving, who's the backup weak side linebacker, now has to come into middle linebacker because Maddox is out.
So they're 3 deep at the middle linebacker position with McKinnon out of the game. There's Kevin Turner, the fullback, bashing his way down near the 6-yard line. 1:44 on the clock and winding down. Arizona leading 10-7. Eagles knocking on the door. Fontenot comes on the field, as does Graham. Fontenot into the tight end spot. Graham goes wide to the left wide receiver. 2nd and goal from the 6. Pitch out to Staley. Staley following Turner. Gets down near the 1-yard line. Deuce Staley.
And the offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles is a group that really, it's been getting better and better all year long. And you say that, you think, well, the Eagles are this and that. And Ian Beckles, the guy they acquired. There's Trey Thomas, young guy, really gotten good at pass blocking, learning how to run block. Steve Everett. These guys take pride in what they do. And you talk to all of them, all they want to do is run the ball. They got Deuce, and when they're getting games like this where they're afforded the opportunity to stick with the run, they're pretty effective. Their problem is they've gotten behind. They've gotten behind so much, and they've had a pass block, and that's when all the sacks are coming, and that's where it's been a problem for them.
But Coy Debner, I think he brings a lot to these guys, too. His enthusiasm, his passion for the game has really also helped these guys because right now, as you can see, their quarterback sacks are way, way down.
Well, yeah, they have 54, and 52 of them came in the first 10 games, and in the last couple games, they only have 2 sacks, 1 a game.
The Eagles have taken a timeout with 35 seconds left. Coming up on the Visa Halftime Report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris with all the scores and highlights from around the league. Our Fox Sports ticker will have up-to-second stats for you, all coming up on the Visa Halftime Report on this big day in the NFL. Playoff picture could be a little clearer at the end of the proceedings today. Meanwhile, the Eagles, a 3-10 team, playing with some fire and fight here. In the first half, they have 3rd and goal, a ball just inside the 2 of Arizona. The 11th play of this drive upcoming. Turner and Staley in the eye. Deuce Staley stopped.
Man, I love this area of the field. I love this area of the field right here. I mean, that was a nice play. This is Ronnie Lott territory because all it is 2 guys just lining up, putting their hands down and just getting after it. And you saw Maddox right there get in there and make a great stand.
That was a heck of a stand, and Holden, that takes 4 points away from him.
19-yard field goal try by Boniol. And Chris Boniol connects. And we have a tie football game.
Huddle. You know, they do that. There was 12 men out there in the huddle for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that in itself should be a penalty, even if they're kicking a field goal.
Not picked up by the officials on the field.
Watch this. Watch this fill by number 53. 53 is right over here, and he's going to come fill this thing. Watch this stick. There's Maddox scraping, bang! Right there on Deuce. Watch the wrap up. Look at his feet dug in at the goal line, not giving any ground. Watch the wrap.
Oh, I love it. That's football, folks. That's football right there.
Just a few plays ago, we were saying Terry Irving was in to relieve Mark Maddox, who came into this game with a knee injury that had him missing a couple of games. He'd been a special teamer much of the year. He was injured on teams. Ronald McKinnon got hurt. He's out with a sprained knee, and Maddox had to come in and be the starter today. He's obviously bothered by it. They gave him some relief, but in that goal line situation, back he was, and he made the play.
Well, you think about it, that Philadelphia on that drive took him all the way down the field. 92 yards on that Morrell turnover, all because he tried to switch hands when he was already wrapped up.
The Eagles went 92 yards. That's their longest drive of the season for the Eagles, who have just struggled on offense right from opening day. 12 plays, took 5:45 off the clock.
Yeah, they've gotten a lot of longest. Last week they get the longest pass play. This week they get the longest drive.
And they could make it the longest day for Arizona. Swift kickoff. Gedney, the tight end, handles it. Final play of the half to the 44-yard line.
And if you talk to Chris Zorich, he says it's the longest season ever.
So that's the end of the first half. With the score, Arizona 10, Philadelphia 10. JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will be along after this. Back here at Veterans Stadium, we have a tie game at halftime. Arizona, big game for them as they hope to be in the wild card picture. The Eagles trying to salvage some pride and some jobs. 3-10 coming in here. Well, you probably saw this in our pregame show. 83% of the fans wanting instant replay back. And of course, you've been watching the fashion poll. Right now, Chris Carter is the leader. I know you guys are eager to jump into that, Ronnie Lott. You should have been in it. I would have voted you number one.
First of all, I'm retired. Second, you got to leave it to the guys like Chris Carter, the wide receivers. They're pretty guys. I mean, they play on the offensive side of the ball.
You know what? With some of those outfits, Ronnie, you have to wonder, when you're done playing football, can you wear them anywhere else?
That's true.
All right, well, how about this game here today? The Cardinals saw themselves relying on Adrian Morrell much of that first half as Deuce Staley carried the Eagles on the ground. But it was an interception here by Tommy Bennett that accounted for the only Cardinal touchdown. Morrell, after this really great drive downfield, which he was the main man involved in, fumbled it up. Willis picked it up for the Eagles, and then a great goal line stand by the Cardinals there. Philadelphia having to settle for a field goal, but that tied him up at 10. So where are the Cardinals?
Tim, we talked about at the beginning of the show that Mark Trestman has to call his game, and he's trying to help his defense out. But since that opening drive, Ronnie, when they went no huddle and they were moving down the field, they really tapered off. They've relied on the running game, trying to chew up the clock and help their defense out, but actually it's hurting them. You look at the passing yards for the Cardinals, not what they're used to seeing.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm seeing there is that you're seeing a guy that's not being able to make good decisions with the ball, and I think that they need to go back to that no-huddle situation so they can get get more points on the board.
Well, look at those numbers. It's been Morrell against Staley. That's been the battle here, with Staley over 100, Morrell right behind him. The passers, on the other hand, 65 yards for Jake Plummer. He's passed only 9 times. Detmer's 5 of 11 for 102 yards. Cardinals will have the ball first. Metcalf gets out over the 35-yard line, about the 37. Tim McTire made the tackle for the Eagles. Good field position for Arizona to start.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about right here. The Cardinals passing yards. You talk about a tie score. I don't think the Cardinals have ever had that low of a number this season anyhow with passing yards, because that's what their offense relies on. That's the West Coast offense. So when you get away from that quick passing game and you rely on the running game, I think you're taking something away from your offense.
First down from the 35-yard line. Going on first down, the screen. Centers. Gets a good block. Centers. Gets out to about the 47-yard line before he's driven out of bounds by Darling and Taylor and Willis.
Well, you can see 20 no-huddle plays and about a yard or so, a little bit more than a yard different on average per play.
Well, I think they were listening to you, Bill, because they're going no huddle, and they threw the ball on their first play.
2nd and 3. Morrell. And Morrell has the first down, sliding out near the midfield stripe.
Well, he was one little foot away from breaking it. And I think it was somebody's foot that just caught his leg and tripped him up as he was coming through that hole. But he was out the gates here. Watch him come through there, and right there, he just gets his foot tripped up because that was an open hole.
Remember, he rushed for 144.
He knows it. He's still saying, doggone it.
Yeah, he had 144 against the Eagles in Phoenix earlier in the season. Plummer throwing, and it hit the ground before it got to Larry Centers, incomplete.
You know, Jake Plummer told us that one of his favorite players in the whole entire NFL is Larry Centers, because when he was in college, he used to watch him and watch this guy play and the way he played. And at about that time, you see, he's the fullback. He's split out wide now, and Zordich goes out there with him. But when he was in college, he was watching Centers play at Phoenix and watching. At about that time is when he had those 100 catches a year. He had 2 years, 95 and 96, where he had over 100 receptions.
2nd and 10, Morrell. He take it wider than he wanted to. Good pursuit that time, and Bobby Taylor steers him out.
Wider than he wanted to, and wider than the Arizona Cardinals coaches want him to. And that's what they want. The Denver Broncos, everybody looks at them as their key to success. It's like that every year. Whatever team is the best, everybody wants to mold themselves after that.
Exactly.
But they got that power run game where they line up and come off the ball, and it's a north-south game. It's not string it out, and that's what a lot of teams want to get to.
Loss of about a half yard on that play.
They got that Apache going on there where they got three down guys.
Sanders trying to dive for the first down. He'll be close, but it appears short. Steve Martin made the tackle.
That was the Apache defense out there. 3 down linemen. They bring in extra linebackers for the speed. Watch here. So you only have 1, 2, and then the 3rd down lineman's over here. And here's your extra linebackers.
It's going to be 4th down, and they're going to go again. 4th down and 3 at the Eagles' 45-yard line.
Get 37, brother.
Shovel pass. First down. Larry Centers keeps his balance. What an effort by Centers to the 20-yard line of the Eagles.
You know, Ronnie, we talked about the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about 4th down, and you know what do you do? What things? You don't have anything to lose. They bring everybody. There's nobody in the middle of the field back here. Look downfield. If Bobby Taylor doesn't trip Frank Centers up, that was a touchdown because nobody was in the middle of the field. They brought the whole house.
Run.
First down at the 20-yard line of Arizona, Adrian Morrell. And he is dropped after a gain of about a yard. Brian Dawkins, the safety. Number 20 made the hit.
And Mike Zordich right now is trying to get these guys lined up. They keep shuttling in people, shuttling guys out, and then he's got to call the defense. And there's Emmett Thomas. With this no-huddle situation, it does cause confusion, but you got Mike Zordich, who is now on the field, who can now make the calls for him.
Well, he's got a tough job all day long today. Recognizing formation, the personnel groupings when they're shuffling all those people in and trying to get the guys lined up.
2nd and 9. Plummer incomplete, intended for Sanders. Tight coverage on him by Troy Vincent.
You know, Emmett Thomas is aggressive. He's being very aggressive. And like we talked about, you can do that. You can afford to do that when you have nothing to lose. These guys, it's an interesting time of year, this time of year, because there's 22 teams that still have a shot at the Super Bowl. There's some better shot than others, but there's 22 teams out of the 30. And then those guys are all playing for playoffs. And then the other guys, well, they're just playing for jobs. And it becomes quite a matchup emotionally when you're playing for jobs and then you're playing for playoffs. There's always competitive games around the league this time of year.
Plummer on 3rd down goes to Rob Moore, and Moore stretching out trying to get the first down. He will be short just outside the 10-yard line. Al Harris, nickelback number 31, made the tackle.
Check out the guys up front. And Philadelphia has been applying pressure. And here Jake Plummer has time. He has time to look and find Rob Moore, who is becoming more and more active down the stretch. And you think about the Cardinals and the things they've done this year, offense. Okay, you're getting Eric Metcalf back in. He's making plays. He's getting healthy. You have Rob Moore. He's back from the hamstring injury he had, and he's getting up to speed. Things are falling in place for him offensively, and at the same time that's happening, their defense is starting to fall apart.
They'll get a measurement here, close to the 10-yard line. They've converted on 4th down twice in this game.
And yeah, they
have to again.
And they asked for a measurement just so they could buy some time because they want to try to figure out what they want to do. Coach Tobin right there is trying to say, this is a playoff game, but I got to make a playoff decision right here.
And that's what is it? Do you be aggressive? Do you take the sure 3? And it basically comes down to how your team is playing and what you feel they're doing. And right now, they feel that they're going to line up and go.
Well, I know it's a lot of folks out there in Arizona are saying, hey, go for it. Go for it.
Mario Bates comes in. He usually does in the short yardage.
Mike Devlin comes in as an extra lineman, too.
Jarius Hayes, the blocker. Bates hit behind the line and buried. And it was Anthony Marshall, the safety, number 35, coming up on the blitz. And the Eagles fired up, made it pay off.
And that's the second time today that the Philadelphia Eagles have kept Arizona off the board in the red zone, an area that they've been great at all year long.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Gateway. Let's talk about your Gateway.
We are back at Veterans Stadium where the Eagles have stopped the Cardinals on a 4th down and 1. Detmer fakes a pitch out, pass partially tipped, caught by Fontenot, the tight end, and he picks up about 7 on the play.
And you see that play right there? That's what Arizona used to do, and that's what Arizona had success doing all year long, and that's what Arizona is not doing. The passes I'm seeing, Jake is in the pocket dropping back. They're trying to run the ball more than they normally do. Their rushing yards are up, but their points are not. Last 2 drives, the Cardinals, 13 plays and a fumble, 10 plays, lost the ball on downs.
On 2nd down, Staley, close to the 1st down yardage. Staley and Morrell have been the 2 workhorses on the ground in this game, overshadowing the passing games. Jake Plummer and Coy Detmer. On comes Bubba Miller to take up his blocking position at tight end.
Yeah, on 1st down as well. And so Bubba Miller he's not just a short yardage guy, he's a multi-faceted tight end. look at that overload, look at these guys.
Staley, Jameer Miller meets him right at the line of scrimmage. Got maybe a yard on the play.
And what you have to do is you can't really treat Bubba Miller as a tight end because you have Andrew Jordan out here as well. And see the gap you have here? Now you're filled with that gap with a linebacker and a strong safety. That's too much. You have to shift these defensive linemen over. You can't give them that much room. Bubba missed his block there, but
yeah,
heck, he's about 3 for 4, right?
Miller beat Bubba that time. Score 1 for
it's Miller and Miller.
Jameer, yep.
It's Miller time.
2nd and 9. Detmer too high, had a man open. That was Staley out of the backfield, a little too high. 3rd down, Eagles.
And all the personnel changes. You take a big shot of the field, there's just bodies running all over the place. It's 3rd down, it's 3rd and 10, and there's new nickel situation comes in, dime guys come in, and then 3 wide receiver sets and just shuffling everybody back and forth.
Arizona brings in J.B. Brown and J.J. McCluskey to the secondary. 3rd down and 9, Eagles. Solomon in motion. Detmer has time, hits his man short of the 1st down. That was Irving Fryer. 3 Cardinals converged on him, preventing the 1st down.
That was a nice job of coming up and keeping whatever's underneath, and not letting them get any yards after the catch.
Yeah, Aeneas Williams did an excellent job of reading that play, but the one thing that I didn't understand right there is Coy Detmer had another guy coming right behind him that was a little bit deeper where he could have completed the 1st down.
Tom Hutton, the punter, standing at the Eagles 21. Derek Metcalf waiting for it at the Arizona 21. Line drive kick. Metcalf had to go back for it. The low ball fooled him. He picks it up. A near disaster. And Metcalf keeps the ball and gets out to the 27-yard line.
Well, that's the 2nd one that Metcalf has misjudged. He misjudged the kickoff when they only got to the 15-yard line, and then he misjudged that punt right there.
Got a little knuckleball there.
Well, there's Mark Trestman, offensive coordinator for Arizona. Look at what his team has accomplished here so far. It's been a completely different kind of Cardinal offense so far.
Well, they haven't scored an offensive touchdown, and the last time that happened in 3 quarters was against Philadelphia out there.
They have a 1st down now at their own 27-yard line. Adrian Morrell, he was the main man offensively for Arizona in the 1st half. To the 30-yard line, a gain of 3.
But the one thing Mark Trestman does do is when you talk to him, he's not necessarily a now guy. He doesn't say, oh, our offense hasn't scored yet. He looks at the big picture. He looks at the whole entire game. He's saying, I can move the ball on them. I can run the ball. We're going to get ourselves back down the field, and this time we're not going to make mistakes, and we'll come away with points. And if they stick to what they're doing, they can go ahead and take over this game.
Plummer for Larry Centers. Centers gets to the 37-yard line, and Larry Centers, who broke the record with his previous catch, long held by Roy Green, of 522 career catches for the Arizona Cardinals. That distinction now belongs to Larry Centers.
Yeah, and look at Larry Centers' helmet. You don't think he's out there banging people? He's got green paint on the front of his helmet, on the back of his helmet, and before the games, they always polish your helmet up. They take all the old paint off. Look at the green up there on his helmet. He's out there banging people today.
3rd and 5, Arizona. Slot formation to the right in a pro set. Straight drop for Plummer. Runs out of it, has the first down, still going, sliding out near midfield.
I don't know about Barry Sanders, but I haven't seen Barry make that move. That was an excellent move right there.
That's the snake. That's
that
where
was
he
a
gets
snake.
It. You know, Brand, I'm going to tell you something right here. Watch this close in around him. Look at that rush. Brandon Whiting right there, bang. He has a shot at him. Steve Martin has a shot at him. And watch him keep going. And that's one thing Brandon Whiting said. He remembered playing against him in college. He said, this guy, we were all around him, all our defensive linemen, we couldn't get him.
I'm not sure Barry Sanders can carry the ball like that. That's intended for Moore and intercepted. Troy Vincent at the 15-yard line of Philadelphia. Moore looking inside, the ball came outside.
Yeah, right here, he throws it to the outside. Moore's working back inside.
So the Eagles stop the Cardinals again. They'll have it when we return. Jake Plummer in a discussion with the receiver Rob Moore about the last play. It was apparent from body language that Plummer thought that Moore should have been going outside. Moore ran it inside, thus the pick by Troy Vincent. On first down, Eagles. Staley, no running room on the edge, and he is dropped for a loss of maybe a yard. Simeon Rice, who's only been able to play part of the game because he's got bad ribs.
Yeah, look where he's at here. Look where Simeon Rice is. He's not, it's a 5-man front defensive lineman. He's standing up outside so he doesn't have to get down in that stance and fight the tackle all day long.
They mark it no gain, so it'll be 2nd and 10, Eagles. Still tied at 10. Philadelphia having stopped Arizona. That's intended for Turner, and as the ball arrived, so did Tommy Bennett. Turner tried to one-hand it, and Bennett hit him right then. Bennett, who has the only touchdown for the Cardinals, returning an interception 70 yards in the first half.
Why did they run this play? Well, you got 2 deep. You got both safeties taking half the field. They run Turner right at the middle of the field. Bennett comes in from his half of the field to make the play.
That was a heck of a job. Bennett covering a lot of territory. He's got to get over the top on the wide receiver and then to come back and fill in the middle of the field to help the linebacker.
3rd down, slot right, Eagles. Detmer has time, off the mark that time. Intended for Graham, Jeff Graham, number 81. Double coverage on Graham.
Watch what you got here. Watch this. You got this 5-man front, and these guys rushing. Now watch what you have. Rashad Swinger comes back. Watch him. See, he's kind of spying Coy Detmer. Wherever Coy goes, he's got to follow.
When you're ranked number 30 in the NFL on offense, as are the Eagles, your punter is a busy man. This will be the 93rd punt this year, most in the NFL. Hutton to the 40-yard line of Arizona. Metcalf down the sideline, gets some good yardage into Eagles territory at the 45. 15-yard return for Eric Metcalf.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. By Interstate Batteries, the official battery of the family car. By Walmart, always low prices, always. And by Taco Bell.
We're back at Veterans Stadium. Jake Plummer with his team at the 45-yard line of the Eagles. Best field position for either team to start from so far today. 10-10 the score. Tim Ryan, Bill Maas, and Ronnie Lott here at Veterans Stadium. Adrian Morrell gets about 6 inside the 40 of Philadelphia. Mike Zordich, veteran safety, came up to put the hit on him.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. We talked about his job today. I mean, this guy is all over the place. He's calling the defensive huddles. He's getting his guys aligned right. When they go no huddle, he's recognizing formation and personnel. He has to play too deep to help the wide receivers. Then he has to come up and be the 8th man in the box to help out on the tackles, tackle the running back.
Morrell coming back into the middle. He'll be short of the first down, it appears, but not by much.
The last possession of the interception, it was just a misread by Jake. Jake right here, what he does, he looks at the position of the defensive back, first of all. Rob sees the safety clear. See the safety up there? See him clear? Rob says, heck, I'm staying in the middle of the field. Jake throws it to his outside where he thought he was going to go. But the quarterback has to see the safety when he clears the field.
Not much room for Larry Centers trying to get the first down, but he may have squeezed through.
They missed a hookup last week as well. He overthrew Rob Moore. That could have been a touchdown. And as you saw right there, that miscommunication on the read, that would have been 6 points as well.
You got to be able to hit your home runs, Bill. When you have a chance to complete the home runs, you got to make it happen, and especially down the stretch. Those two guys, if they're going to make the playoffs, they have to connect.
Well, especially when you're running an offense like this right now. When you grind it out, grind it out, grind it out, then when you do take your shots, you have to make them count. That was there for them.
Centers picked up the first down, and now he is split out to the right. Play action. Plummer flushed. Back
Flag.
into the middle for Centers.
They got flag downfield here. I think they're going to have Vincent grabbing Frank Sanders.
The coverage on Centers was from Brian Dawkins, the safety. Centers, the intended receiver.
Holding, 23, defense, first down.
It is Troy Vincent away from the ball.
Well, what happens there, when you see Centers, when he comes out, they want to get Dawkins out there. They don't want to put Zorich on him because they feel that Zorich doesn't have the speed to run with them. Dawkins comes in there, but what it does, it puts pressure on the defense.
Vincent wound up picking up the call, and the first down is at the 30-yard line. Arizona threatening again. 3:07 to go in the third. Adrian Morrell got running room on the corner. Good play by Brian Dawkins, who has been solid defensively all day.
He's been all over the place. Both safeties for the Eagles have done a good job today of covering the field. I mean, they've been responsible for covering receivers downfield and also becoming involved in the run game. Watch him come up right here. He shucks the block of the wide receiver when he recognizes that it is a run, gets by the receiver on the block, Sanders at that time, and makes the play.
Gedney and Metcalf come in offensively. Harris comes in as the nickel back. Darling is a linebacker for the Eagles. Draw play for Centers, tripped up. Good play by Bobby Taylor off the corner. Got a hand on him. Not much there.
Yeah, when you blitz, that's the one thing that happens. You got to get the guy that's blitzing. If he comes free, he has to make that play. If he doesn't make that play, Centers is off to the races. So Bobby Taylor to be able to fall in there like that and make that play, smart play on his part.
Reese and Marshall now on 3rd down and 8. Shotgun formation. We haven't seen too much of this from the Cardinals today. Plummer running out of time, and it's sacked. That is Greg Jefferson, number 79.
Yeah, that's what I call a coverage sack.
You're exactly right, Ronnie.
You know, you got pressure, Bill, and you're getting it, but the offensive line did a good job. Now let's look at the guys who are coming open there. Nobody.
Nobody's open. So then he quick glances right over here, and he's covered up too. That's Larry Centers, and there's nowhere to go with the football.
So despite the good field position from the 45 to start, Arizona will have to punt. 1:26 left in the third. Scott Player hits from the 45. Cardinals trying to keep the ball in.
Well, I think they got it down.
This is going to be pretty close. McCluskey made a great play.
Oh, no. They ruled a touchback.
And they ruled it a touchback. Great try by McCluskey, a 35-yard punt. He tried to get the ball up to a teammate to keep it out of the end zone, but he may have stepped on the end line.
Yeah, his foot's on the white.
Yeah, he's standing on the end line.
Good call by the officials.
Next Saturday on Fox, Todd Eldridge, Kurt Browning, and Katarina Witt. Some of the world's best skaters will lead their countries and continue their battle for international bragging rights. The Northwestern Mutual Life World Team Challenge, Saturday at 1:30 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Don't forget Fox NFL special on Saturday, the Bucks and the Redskins. First down, Eagles from the 20, complete to Turner. Turner up the sideline, has the first down and then some to the 38-yard line of Philadelphia.
Let me show you what's going on here with the Cardinals and what they're doing. They know they're getting pushed around, so they go to the 5-man front. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out here is Wadsworth, number 90. Wadsworth, when he sees the fullback Kevin Turner go, he has to go with him. Now see, that's a defensive end on a fullback, a good pass-catching fullback in Kevin Turner, and it's a mismatch.
Detmer now 8 of 17 passing. Throwing on first down, connects again. Staley out of the backfield, gets about 5.
And heck, you know, they come back the other way with the same thing. They'll take that. They'll take those yards all day long.
And that's what, and really that's what Coy Detmer does. He will take what the defense gives.
Ronnie, you said Ty Detmer, Coy Detmer. They're basically the same guy, though. The same kind of foolish, run around, make something happen, energetic, enthusiastic type guy. I mean, in their first 2 games together, we have Ty's first 2 games, and here they are. Look at the numbers. That's all in the family. That's the same guy. Has anybody ever seen Coy Detmer and Ty Detmer together at the same time?
We've reached the end of the 3rd quarter with the score tied at 10. We'll be back after this. See the difference between the first half and second half offensively for Arizona. This very gritty Philadelphia defense has shut them down, made the big plays, including the interception and the long pass intended for Moore, picked off by Troy Vincent. 2nd and 5. Detmer complete. First down to Freddie Solomon to midfield.
The reason that he does that, the reason that they motion the guy out there so Coy Detmer can see the field and see if he's going to get man-to-man or zone. By motioning him out there, the linebacker had to run out there. When you see the linebacker run out, you know you have man-to-man coverage.
First catch by Freddie Solomon today. The Eagles have done a good job protecting Coy Detmer. They have not given up a sack. That's been a huge improvement the last 3 weeks since Detmer became the quarterback. No running room for Staley there. Got maybe a yard. Right now for an NFL update on that Saints game. Let's send you back to JB at our Fox television set.
Hey, Tim, Saints doing it on defense. Take a look at this hit by Keith Mitchell, picked up by Mark Fields. 2nd defensive touchdown for the Saints, and 4 turnovers as well, hurting their cause. But they're trailing by 3. Tim, Bill, and Ronnie.
Thanks, JB. And there's a quick look at that wild card race. You see that the Saints are still very much in the mix, and they play next week at Arizona. We'll be there for that one. You
know, we talked about this time of year. And you look around the league right now and some of the scores, and Giants right now are up on Denver, and it's that time of year. Tampa Bay up on Pittsburgh, and the upsets. And you're playing for pride.
Flags before they got the play off.
False start, number 77, offense, prior to the snap. Still 2nd down.
Johnny Greer says Richard Cooper with the false start.
Carolina, the Cardinals sticking with that 5-man front. Now it's changed. So now they go back to the 4-man front. See, they bring Bernard Wilson off, and now they're going to go 4-man because it's such long yardage to go. So you're thinking pass, and you don't want to need that 5th guy in there actually for the big bodies. You know, now you want your pass rushers out there.
J.B. Brown, J.J. McCleskey into the secondary for Arizona. On 2nd and long. Detmer sideline to Turner, the fullback. Turner fights his way up the sideline. Is driven out to be a flag for a late hit. That'll get him the first down. It was an 11-yard play. It's a little over-eagerness on the sideline to stop the bullish Kevin Turner. part of the Cardinals will be costly.
See, the one thing Coy
Personal
Detmer
foul,
does.
unnecessary roughness. Number 28, defense. Late hit out of bounds. First down.
There, they're out of bounds, and he comes in and gives the extra shot. The one thing Coy does, actually two things he does that I like real well. First of all, he gets rid of the ball real quick. He's increased the tempo in their passing game. He's plants, sets, plants, and goes, and the ball is out. And he says he attributes that to his father. His father, Sonny, taught Ty and him how to do that and get rid of the ball and read defenses. And also, he doesn't push things downfield. He takes what a defense gives you.
And that's why right there you saw him looking at the field saying, you know what, I don't like that. Let me call a timeout.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by The Truck, the new Chevy Silverado, Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Microsoft, where do you want to go today? By Domino's, delivering 1 million smiles a day. And by MCI 5-cent Sundays, pay the least on the day you call the most.
Dave McGinnis, defensive coordinator for the Cardinals, facing a very key situation here. 13:04 to go. First down at the 26 of Arizona. Tied at 10. The way the flow of the game has gone, he's got to feel this is a big stop needing to be made. Deep to the end zone for Fryer, touchdown! Irving Fryer, no flags are down, and Coy Detmer with a perfect strike. Fryer, only second touchdown catch of the season. He celebrated last week with prayer and tears. It was his first of the year against St. Louis, and he connects from 26 yards away.
I'm going to tell you something. I can't believe Coy Detmer threw the ball, to be honest with you.
They threw it right into double coverage.
He threw it right into double coverage, and it went right through the two defenders, right into the hands of Irving Fryer.
One-0 for the point after, and the Eagles have taken the lead. 17-10, 12:58 to go.
I mean, sometimes that's just what happens when you have a new quarterback. Things just seem to go well. Watch, you have cover two right here, and here, Aeneas Williams bails out. Now watch. Watch the cover. There's Bennett, and there's Williams.
Well, I can tell you this right now. When you throw the perfect pass, you can have any coverage, and they still can complete it.
Look, watch this ball.
And this is the perfect pass right here.
Unbelievable. Either this guy's the greatest quarterback with a throw like that, or he's one lucky kid. That's a perfectly thrown football by Coy Detmer. Now he gets the belt out. Here it comes. Belt comes off. Here comes the whipping. Take that, take that. Where'd he get that?
He got that from Zolak, the quarterback up in New England. He saw Zolak do that in the preseason, kind of half-heartedly, and said, "Hey, I like that. I'm going to use that when I score a touchdown."
And you saw the reaction by Vince Tobin, Dave McGinnis, and Mean Joe Green also was in that picture.
17-10, 12:58 to go. We just finished saying they really needed a stop there.
You talked about that life vest.
Yeah, you know, a defense that was looking for a nickname, now looking for life vests.
80 yards in 6 plays. Bonio's kickoff, grabbed at the 10-yard line. Metcalf, the burst of speed gets him out to the 34-yard line. Well, tonight, after an all-new World's Funniest, celebrate Christmas Simpsons style. Then the holidays come alive on an all-new That 70s show, followed by guest stars Ed Asner and Lily Tomlin on an all-new Christmas episode of The X-Files. It all starts tonight at 7, 6 Central on Fox.
And Mark Trestman, I think that they've made a mistake by playing this run game stuff. I think they've got to go back to the Cardinal football that is so exciting. It's the wide open stuff. It's movement of the pocket. It's the no huddle or the sugar huddle, whatever you want to call it, the line of scrimmage. There it is. They're going to it right now. Quick call at the line. The guys are lining up there. Get that tempo back to this offense, because I think they lost the offense they had. Over the last few weeks, or for the most part of the season, they've been hot when they do this.
Morrell got 3, 2nd and 7. Up the sideline, Gedney, the tight end, first down to the 41-yard line, close to the 40 of the Eagles. They stay in the hurry up. 23-yard gain on the play.
Yeah, Bill, you talked about that no huddle, getting the tempo up, and that's what it does. It makes this guy with the ability to improvise, to do what he wants to do, find people, look over the field, and make things happen.
Morrell, off tackle left. He gets another 5, close to 6, inside the 35 of the Eagles. Brandon Wedding on the tackle. Eagles lead 17-10. Coming off a victory last week against St. Louis. They've won their last 2 at home, losing 2 on the road in between. A 3-10 season. Trying to get to win number 4. They've played hard all game long and all season long.
Nice cut.
Cuts
Nice
it back,
cut.
and he'll be close to the first down.
Boy, did you see him slam on the brakes when he saw that it was stacked up to the outside?
But not only did he slam on the brakes, but he got upfield, Bill.
Watch this. He is right there, bang. He cuts it right back. He took it up into the line of scrimmage and took it right back into the middle of the field like you were talking about, Ronnie. And that's what they want. They want to attack the middle forward. They don't like the things being bounced outside.
As a defensive player, you love it. You love to see a guy like Adrian Morrell bounce around. There, you don't want to see that.
3rd and about a half yard. Plummer dives and has the first down.
How about that surge?
Good push.
That's your big guy, Dishman in there.
That big dish, you know. Watch these guys right here, right there. Watch them go that way. Look at this. Look at this surge. Woo! That's coming off the ball. That's some explosion right there. Talk to Big Dish. Look at Big Dish. Big fan of pro wrestling. Look at that physique there. He was out at Pat's Cheesesteaks last night. He was getting about 2 or 3 cheesesteaks with
At least. Morrell on first down gets 3 or 4 more. Adrian Morrell, who needs to average, including in today's game, 74 yards a game over the remaining 3 to make 1,000 for the year, and he's having himself a big day today. 133 yards rushing, make it 132 officially. On 24 carries for Adrian Morrell. 2nd and 8. Arizona with all their timeouts remaining. Sanders in motion behind the ball. Play action.
There it is.
Plummer, that's complete to Gedney, the tight end. First down.
This is the Cardinals offense. On this drive, you've seen the Cardinals offense that they run all year long. You see the no huddle, you see the bootleg, the movement of the pocket, which I like to say. You see him set up the run, and then you see the boom, bang, and then out here. Bootleg. Now look at all the defenders over here, and there's a passing lane. And it also invites the linebackers up into the line of scrimmage to give the receivers time and an open area to sit in behind them.
Michael Zordich came up from safety to stop Gedney after an 11-yard gain. Cardinals driving. Morrell, a nice step away from the first attempted tackle from Jasper, number 74. And he gets 3, maybe 4 on the play.
Jasper, that's a guy they just had to pick up as well. He was on the team earlier in the year, and then they had to cut him. He was out in the streets, and due to all the injuries, they had to re-sign him, and then he's out there playing again.
You think they're worried about the defense right now? It looks like Trestman right now is not worried about the defense. What he's worried about is getting some points on the board.
Morrell has got running room. Good patience on that one for Morrell. Waiting for the hole to open, he gets to the 9. 8:42 to go. That's going to leave 3rd and 2.
Well, actually, no, this is their 4th time down here. They've been in here. This is their 4th trip down, 3 prior to this one, and all they've got out of it was 1 field goal. And that's unaccustomed to the Cardinals offense, because they were really good at putting up touchdowns inside the red zone.
Yeah, they led the league in that category for a good chunk of the season. Rolling Plummer into the end zone. Touchdown! Rob Moore went down for the ball. We've seen that guy go up many times. And this time he goes right down to the turf for it.
The Eagles are protesting.
Yeah, and the one thing that you see there is we saw Coy Detman throw the pass where it had to be. Right there, Jake Plummer did the same thing. Low and outside. Nobody else could get the ball. He had 2 defenders around him.
So the point after try. Chris Jackie, newly acquired kicker, longtime Green Bay Packers star, replacing the injured Joe Nedney, down to the knee injury a couple of weeks back. And the point after is good. Scott Flair having to adjust to the right-footed kicker after a couple of seasons with Nedney.
I think that ball hit the ground.
I don't know. Let's have another look when we come back.
Watch this. Watch the official right here. The judge. Watch him look at this. His arm's going to go out first, meaning no catch. Watch me. He waves him out. No. And then he says, touchdown. And it was close call. And as you can see when we took a look at this thing, how close it was.
Kickoff by Flair comes down by Jackie, comes down at the 5. Lawson gets out to the 20 to the 30-yard line.
Back to the catch. Watch this throw. Jake Plummer threads this thing in between the defenders.
Got two guys right there, Bill. And Rob Moore does an excellent job of getting his elbows together and his hands underneath this ball.
Watch his elbows right here. Watch him come together. Great catch by Rob Moore. Terrific catch going down to the ball and getting his arms underneath the ball so that ball doesn't touch the turf.
Well, we talked about them connecting, those two connecting, Jake Plummer, Rob Moore. They're going to need another one.
Plummer hit 3 of 3, 66 yards in 10 plays, 9-yard touchdown strike. We're tied at 17. Detmer gives it to Staley. Staley jumped on by Wadsworth, but he dragged tacklers for close to 5 yards. 5'11", 220-pounder showing his strength again. Coy Detmer, 5 of his last 5 as he led the Eagles downfield to take the lead on the last series.
There's the chess match right there. Billy Musgrave against Dave McGinnis. And I say what you want about the Eagles, but I tell you, this group out here, they're fighting. And that might not have been the case all year long, but they are fighting today.
2nd and 6. Detmer. That'll be a first down right at the marker on the 40-yard line. Staley, who got 99 yards rushing last week, playing with a hernia. It still bothered him all during the week, and here he is over 100 today, catching the ball, running hard.
And the decision of Coy Detmer right there. He knew right away that it was going to be zone, saw the linebackers drop back, dumped it off to Deuce Staley.
And they mark it short of the first down, about a half yard. Lee down at the 39. Staley again trying to get wide this time.
Boy, nice job of stringing that thing out.
Excellent. Irving and Sapp, 2 reserve linebackers.
Yeah, they're going to argue about where the forward progress was, but it's right about the 40-yard line, right where we are. And to me, it didn't look like he got that forward progression.
To me neither.
Watch them string this thing out. Boom, boom, all the way down the line here. They're going to come up, support.
Corey Chavis. Nice support.
No, he did not get that.
Did not. And the marker's right at the 40-yard line. But they've spotted the ball with the nose on the 40, as you see.
But see, this over here is different than the official marker.
Watch right there. Boom.
See this marker right here in the back there? That's inaccurate. This one from they have to bring from the other side is the accurate run. And look at that.
First down, Eagles.
Yeah, see on the other side of the field, they just kind of throw a mat out there. Because they look across. The official chain with the mark on it is the one they drag across from the other side of the field. That's on the Eagles sideline. The other markers on the other side of the field, they don't have the 10-yard chain linked to them. So what they do is they just kind of look across the field and say, yeah, this looks about right, and they mark it there. So when you're running to try to pick up a first down, of course, Arizona thought they had him stop shy of it, but the official marker was over here.
Play action, 2 pumps from Detmer up the sideline. Almost picked up by Kwame Lassiter.
You got to come up with those plays there. Kwame Lassiter usually doesn't drop many balls that are thrown to him.
4 interceptions this season.
And the whole reason he got the starting nod over Pat Tillman was because his ability to make big plays.
And right there, Coy Detmer threw in the double coverage. They thought they had single coverage out there. Read the wrong coverage again, threw in the double coverage.
2nd and 10 Eagles. 6:10 and counting down. In regulation time. He has time again. Jeff Graham has first down, Eagles. Over midfield. And he is Williams on the tackle. 11-yard gain for Jeff Graham.
Right, that was just a crossing pattern by Graham. They took the wide receivers downfield, got him cleared out from underneath, and they bring Graham and kind of just drag him across the middle on that crossing route. And there's nothing open up downfield. Corey Detmer goes right to him.
Andrew Jordan in at tight end. Solomon goes wide to the left as a wide receiver. First down at the 49 of Arizona. Staley slips a tackle, slips another, digs his way for 2 more, picks up about 9.
Yeah, and the Cardinals defenders are getting mad at one another. That was nothing but a missed tackle. Patrick Sapp was out there. Bernard Wilson was out there. Both had a hand on him, and Deuce split them. You know the old Three Stooges trick? You know? Or the cartoon characters where 2 guys come in and they just step back and they both run into each other? That's what happened there.
Staley's up to 138 yards rushing. 2nd and 2. Caught by the Eagles. Fontenot at the 30-yard line and a first down. The tight end picked up from the Kansas City Chiefs as a free agent.
And the guy that they're missing right now is Ronald McKinnon.
Yeah, McKinnon.
Because they keep attacking the middle of the field with short passes, and Ronald McKinnon, who had 5 interceptions, here's a guy that understands how to protect the middle of the field. Right there, you see the linebacker going outside, and you can't do that. You can't give up the middle of the field.
Well, he's got that outside drop because he's used to playing outside backer. He's not dropping like a middle linebacker. That's Irvin.
Staley.
See, Maddox is out of there as well, so McKinnon's not there. Maddox is hurt. Now they have to move Terry Irving in there, 56. And he's actually an outside linebacker, and he drops like an outside backer. There's a missed tackle, too. You talked about missing Ronald McKinnon. You're exactly right, Ronnie. You think about where they've been distributing the ball to the back on the checkdowns, and they have the drag route to Graham across the middle.
2nd and 7, the Eagles picking on this battered Arizona defense, moving the ball effectively. Detmer getting stronger as the game has gone on.
And there it is again.
Andrew Jordan, the tight end, number 49, makes a catch. First down, Eagles inside the 20 of Arizona. 3:20 and counting down.
You know, I can tell you this, that's headsy on-field play calling by Billy Musgrave. To realize where your opponents are and understand what's going on over there. A lot of coaches just get caught up on, we need points, we have to do this, we have to stick with the run, and we got to try downfield. He says, look, hey, they're on their 3rd middle linebacker. That's an area we can go at.
First down inside the 20. Blitz coming. Detmer rolls left. Has a man as he inbounds. No. That is Irving Fryer. Out of bounds, incomplete.
Well, the only way to combat that tight end getting over the middle of the field is the blitz. You got to put pressure on him, and that's the only way that you can combat it. Right there, they were able to try to pressure Corey Detmer, and he had to get rid of the ball early. Irving Fryer was out of bounds.
2nd and 10 from the 19 of Arizona. 2:47 on the clock. Tied at 17. Staley and Turner in the eye. Detmer deep.
Long way.
Incomplete. Threw it right out of bounds.
Yeah, similar to what happened with Jake Plummer.
Graham, the closest receiver to it, number 81.
Well, what you do is you got to play man-to-man, because when you play zone, the middle of the field, like you said, Terry Irving is not used to playing the middle of the field. So now you got to go to man-to-man and lock these guys up. And right there, he saw that it was man-to-man and just got rid of the ball and threw it out of the end zone.
J.B. Brown into the secondary. 3rd and 10.
Empty backfield.
Staley goes in motion. Quarterback sneak on the draw. Detmer hit hard at the 15. Well short of the first down. Timeout called by Arizona. It's going to leave 4th and about 6. 2:30 remains regulation time. Chris Bunyol will be attempting the field goal to send the Eagles back in front. He has made 67 in a row from under 35. He's 10 of 15 on the season overall, and he has a 19-yarder in this game already. They're going to spot it at the 23-yard line. 33-yard attempt. Chris Boniol, the 26-year-old out of Louisiana Tech, picked up as a free agent a year ago from Dallas. Corey Detmer, 4 of 7 on the drive for 35 yards, giving them an opportunity to take the lead again. And it is
no good.
No good. He missed it. Boniol missed it. The snap was a little bit high. Tom Hutton seemed to have a little trouble getting the ball down, and that may have thrown the timing off. So the Eagles with a great opportunity, but it's wide to the right by a fraction.
Watch him move the ball just a little bit right there as he's spinning it.
So the Cardinals get a huge break, 2:29 to go. Chris Boniol, you saw on a graphic we had up just prior to his kick, he had made 67 in a row from inside 35, but it was a bit of a high snap. Tom Hutton had trouble getting the ball down, and the timing was off. He missed it by the width of a football. Arizona takes over at their own 23. That's complete to Rob Moore. First down, Arizona, 2:22 to go.
I'll tell you, right now in the NFL, if I wanted a guy to bring my team back under 2 minutes, I'd pick Jake Plummer. And you think, wait, you kidding me? What about Elway? What about Marino? What about all these guys? This guy is the most electrifying guy. Every week he's in this situation.
And he loves it. He likes being in it. Here he is again on first down.
A flag.
Incomplete, but a flag down. Moore, the intended receiver. Vincent on the coverage.
And anytime it comes from the field judge over there, that's normally a holding or pass interference.
Pass interference, 23, defense, first down.
Now, that's just one of those plays right there where you're just hanging on the back of the receiver. You're waiting because you know you got a man-to-man, but you can't figure out a way to get around.
First down at the 38-yard line of Arizona. 2:01 remaining. Regulation time. Lott on both sides, 4 receivers. This is Morrell. Morrell running hard. Morrell still going inside the 40-yard line.
They just gashed him. They gashed him right on the blitz.
23-yard gain for Morrell and a first down in Philadelphia territory. Jake Plummer, following your point, Bill Maas, a little while ago, 6 times since he became an NFL player starting last season, he has brought his team from behind in the 4th quarter 6 times. Look at the guys behind him in that category. First down.
I call them plumbacks. They're plumbacks. Another plumback.
39 of Philadelphia, Morrell. This time he's tripped up behind the line. Brian Dawkins, the safety, was in the backfield to trip him up, and then he was buried at the line by Willis. 1:48 on the clock. Timeout call by the Eagles. We are tied at 17. Arizona with the ball. Next week they're at home against the Saints. They finish up at home against San Diego, trying to make it into the playoffs. The Eagles cannot do that.
That was an interesting timeout. I thought that was an interesting timeout.
I didn't quite understand that myself.
Yeah, because you're saying that you're going to give up points and you want more time. Is that what you're trying to say? I mean, if I'm Ray Rhodes, I want the clock to run down. I think my defense, I got a lot of confidence in my defense. They're going to stop these guys and keep them out of field goal range. And you got Chris Jackie, who
doesn't have the leg.
He doesn't have the leg, right.
He's an accurate kicker. But it hasn't been in this circumstance, in this situation, for over a year now.
When he was in it at Green Bay, he was a crackerjack in the 4th quarter. 2nd and 10. Plummer has time. That's complete. Rob Moore trying to break loose. Has the first down, fights to the 20. 1:37 and counting down. Willis and Dawkins pull him down there. 19-yard gain and a first down at the 20.
Rob Moore last year went to the Pro Bowl doing this. At the beginning of the season, he was hurt, but Rob Moore to me, is a big-time receiver.
Eagles take their final timeout. Ball at the 20-yard line. Tied at 17. Overtime looming, but only if the Eagles can somehow stop the Cardinals, or if they can't, keep themselves enough time to come back down and tie it again.
Yeah, you know, I think they did Arizona a little bit of a favor right here. It didn't put any pressure on them.
Yeah, Ray Rhodes right now, he's got to be sitting here thinking that maybe he can save some time, because that's the only reason I guess you call timeout, is that if they do score, you probably have maybe 30 seconds left in this game. You're not going to have a lot of time left on the clock.
Here we go, first down from the 20-yard line, out of the I formation. Larry centers, the lead back, fights for about 3.
And I think they need to do a little bit more than this. I don't know if I would be comfortable with a new kicker on the team having him kick a 35-yard field goal right now. I'd like 10 more yards out of this drive right here.
I agree with you, Bill. You got to get it closer than that.
Jackie kicked a 28-yarder back in the first period, had a 21-yarder in his debut last week in the loss to the Giants. Second down and 8. Again, centers, the lead back. Gets a couple of more down to the 17.
Well, I don't think they agree with us.
No, they're not. And they're going to take this down. They're going to let this clock run all the way down, and they have a timeout.
Now, Jackie,
they're going to let this run all the way down. If they let this run down, that'll leave about 6 seconds on the clock.
Jackie in his career in the fourth quarter, when within 3 points, 19 of 22.
So you get them up to the line of scrimmage right here. And we're at 10 seconds right now.
Plummer just diving forward. That'll make fourth down. 11 seconds.
That's
the
pretty
clock
gutsy
stopped.
call. That was a gutsy call. I figure you get up to the line of scrimmage, let the clock run down, call a timeout, run one play, call another timeout, and see what you have. They just plunged forward with Plummer to try to pick up an extra 1 yard on it. 11 seconds left on the clock.
Chris Jackie, 15 game-winning field goals in his career.
Well, it goes back to those 2 timeouts that Philadelphia called. I'm still trying to figure that out.
They didn't put any pressure on Arizona. If they didn't call those timeouts, if they still had some to use, it would put pressure on Arizona. That took it all away from them, and then Arizona was in control after that. They could have used them any which way they could.
They're going to spot it at the 25-yard line. It'll be a 35-yard attempt. Dallas and Kansas City still to follow. Chris Jackie going for the victory here. That would enhance Arizona's playoff hopes. 11 seconds remain, 35-yard try. And it is wide right. Wide to the right, Jackie missed it. As Boniol had done at the other end just minutes ago. 35-yard attempt, and we're facing overtime. 7 seconds on the clock.
And that's what we talked about. I think you try to get at least 10 more yards out of that before you bring on a kicker. Good snap, good hold. See his plant foot? That his plant foot is where it's at. Watch his plant foot. He rolls off to the side this way. Watch. See him roll off to the side that way?
He couldn't get it around, Billy.
That's the whole thing you do. When you watch the plant foot, your left foot down, you want to roll right over the top of that. He falls off to the left. Watch this foot here. It rolls over to his left. Watch it. Watch it. He rolls over this way. He doesn't roll through. You want to roll through the front of that.
So Jackie, who was 2 for 2 as a Cardinal, won last week from 21, won today from 28, misses on the opportunity to win the game. He's had 15 career game winners, but this is a man who's been out of football this season until he got the call from the Cardinals when Joe Nendy went down.
You can always tell that's called the follow-through. You always watch the plant foot of kickers. It should roll right over their toe when that's the follow-through. When they fall off to the left or to the right, that's when it's missed.
And Jake Plummer right now is saying, hey guys, wait a minute. It's not over. It's not over.
It's overtime.
It's overtime, but it's not over.
That's right.
We got a chance.
Okay, everybody, shh. Let's listen to the call. Let's listen to the call.
Here comes the coin toss. Johnny Greer, the referee.
It is a hand. Arizona wants the ball.
Shit.
Cardinals will have the ball to start the overtime. There is a quick look at the overtime rules. 1 15-minute quarter. It is sudden death. 2 timeouts per team allowed. First team to score wins. Cardinals will have the first possession.
It's a lonely feeling over there, and I'm sure a lot of people in Arizona.
Yeah.
And I wonder where Netney's at.
Well, the only person that can even think the same way he does is Boniel. See, they need to have a bench like down in the middle of the field someplace for the kickers.
Well, you know, kind of like the bullpen. You know,
yeah, let him go someplace else and stew, yeah.
Tampa Bay has won their game to move to 7-7. Cardinals need this to keep pace with them.
Kickers and pitchers, you either love them or hate them, right?
Chris Boniol will kick it off. Metcalf is deep. Larry Center's up just a couple of yards ahead of him. 10-yard line. From the 4-yard line, Metcalf. Out of bounds at about the 28-yard line. We have more football ahead on our doubleheader day here on Fox. Troy Aikman of the Cowboys will be in Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Don't miss this key interconference matchup next on Fox.
Now you think about the story of this game, how many times Arizona has been in the red zone and come away with no points. And that was another time right there, the missed field goal.
Since that interception by Troy Vincent in the third quarter, Plummer is 5 of 5.
Get rid of that ball, son.
Dump off to Morrell, and Morrell will get only a couple at that.
Yeah, he has to have that clock in his head going, because right now, holding on to the ball like that and not getting rid of it and dancing around trying to make something happen, that's pressing. And if you press in this area of the field and everybody's covered up and somebody strips you from the backside, that's the game.
Tampa Bay's win over Pittsburgh, moving them to 7-7. Cardinals trying to get there as well.
They're in a battle for the wild card spot. New Orleans trailing right now.
By 6.
Yeah, they're in the battle as well.
7.5 minutes to go in that game. 2nd and 9. Arizona at their own 29-yard line. That's complete to Rob Moore. He shakes loose. Moore has running room. Oh, what a tackle from behind. Willie Thomas coming over to pull him down with an ankle grab, or he is in the end zone. 31 yards.
Talked about big players making big plays, being in this situation right here. Rob Moore, Pro Bowl receiver, doing his thing.
And that's just sitting down in the zone and knowing where the hole in that zone is.
From the Philadelphia 41, Morrell. Morrell squirts for a couple to the 39. Dawkins and John Harris combine on the tackle.
Yeah. Limited time to sulk. You know, you can't sulk too long. You know, he's over there on the bench, he's sitting there warming his leg, doing all the stuff that kickers do that no one has any idea what they're doing. He was over there and he was sulking a little bit. Now he says, uh-oh, we got down there quick. I better go loosen up some and get another shot at this.
And I'm looking at that plant foot that you were just talking about.
Plummer under pressure. Intended for Centers, nearly picked off on the deflection off of Centers' hands, out of the hands of Brian Dawkins. 3rd down.
You talked about being in a situation where you don't have anything to lose. Well, Philadelphia still believes that. They bring the pressure, they bring the blitz.
That was Caldwell. Good pressure on Plummer.
Look at Jake. His neck gets wrenched. His little body gets tweaked.
Adrian Morrell now with 165 yards on 28 carries.
Here they come.
Down. The fade, caught by Moore. First down, Arizona. What a nice catch. Troy Vincent did a good job of covering. Moore just reaching back for that one.
Look at Jake Plummer in the face. Look at it. Look what he's facing right here. Nothing but green coming at him. He hangs in there, sees the man-to-man coverage outside, and throws a perfect fade pattern to Moore.
And what you said about Jake Plummer being a guy that can make the comeback, I would like Rob Moore to be on the end of that every play.
First down, Arizona. Morrell again patiently picking his way, gets down to the 18-yard line. That's a pickup of 6.
You know, you can see Mark Trestman. He's concerned that somebody on the Eagles sidelines might be able to read lips.
Loose lips sink ships.
That's right. He's got them all covered up.
Well, I was a little too generous for Morrell. They give him 4 officially. It's 2nd and 6. Just inside the 20. Morrell again digs down to the 16, close to the 16-yard line.
That Rob Moore was really been the key here, Ronnie. That first catch he had when he settled down in the zone, and that's a veteran receiver knowing where the zone is. When Bobby Taylor let him go off, he carried him for a little bit, then let him off into the Zordich's area. As soon as he saw that, he sat right down to where he was comfortable, caught the pass, and then took it inside where the opening was. Then he comes back and catches that fade pattern on the sidelines. He's really been a guy that's helped pick this whole thing up.
An Eagle player down on their front, like the Cardinals. They are battered and beaten up along the defensive front. Can't identify that player as yet.
I think it's Steve Martin. Yeah, that's Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, the third-year man from Missouri. Now, he's a starter today only because of the injuries to Bill Johnson and Hollis Thomas. They're both on injured reserve, and now Steve Martin goes down. That'll bring in Edward Jasper into his spot. And a breather for the Cardinals. I'm not sure they want it right now as they've been moving smartly down the field.
I tell you, you talk about that Eagles defense and the guys, you've seen them give up yards, and you've seen Arizona move the ball on them. And yeah, it has something to do with injury, but you think about it, the Eagles defense over the last few years, they have about 6 or 7 starters on other teams in the NFL that have left here. They've got William Fuller, Kirk Gavale, Bill Romanowski, Greg Jackson. Heck, 2 or 3 of those guys are out on San Diego's #1 ranked defense. And Romo's, of course, just got him a Super Bowl ring. And there's some guys that were here. Mark McMillan's in Kansas City.
Steve Martin able to get off under his own power. We've had a few yards on the board here today, lads. 423 for Arizona, 367 for the Eagles. But right now, in overtime, it could well come down to another kick by Chris Jackie, who missed from 35 with a couple of seconds on the clock in regulation time. 11:23 remains in the overtime period.
And you saw Zordich right there telling the guys, look, go for the ball. You got to get the ball. We got to figure out a way to strip the ball.
3rd down, a long 2 with the Eagles 15. Morrell crashing his way over the 15-yard line.
I think there's an area out there, and here comes on the field goal unit. There's an area out there at about the 15-yard line. And that's really the yard line for a confident and a non-confident place kicker. Of course, if you just come in off the streets, as Chris Jackie's been away from this for a while now, I think that 15-yard line, that's the area right there. I think right now he's confident he can make this.
And if I'm Philly, I got to milk this guy.
And they're doing it. Eagles take the timeout. The Eagles take the timeout. Now, just to go over Jackie's accomplishments again, remember, as Bill just said, he's been out of football this season. He was in a game briefly last year in Washington. That was about it for him for the season. Prior to that, 8 distinguished years at Green Bay. Now, that's quite a gap for anybody who's a specialist like this. When he was a player, regularly on that Green Bay team, a lot of success. This 32-year-old, career 77.2 average in field goals.
But when you just like in golf, when you stay away from it for a while, you come back and you hook. You come back and you slice. Now all of a sudden, you, like Bill talked about, you can see the ball being pushed because he rolled over. He didn't go straight at the target, that plant foot. The plant foot has to go straight over to the target.
Jackie, with 15 game winners in his career, will get a second chance to win this one from 32 yards out. And it is good. Chris Jackie, given a second chance, wins it for the Cardinals, and they are now 7-7 with 2 games to play, both at home against the Saints and against the Chargers. And so another thrilling finish for the Cardinals. They have lived this way all season long. Jake Plummer brings them back one more time, and the new kicker, Chris Jackie, given a second chance after missing from 35, connects from 32.
Watch his foot this time. Watch where he comes. Watch it roll. Right over the top. Right down the alley.
The Cardinals had lost 6 games in a row here in Philadelphia, but Chris Jackie ends that streak. Their first victory here since September of 1991. From 32 yards out, an overtime field goal by Jackie, and the Cardinals are 7-7. Keeping pace with the Tampa Bay Bucks and awaiting the final score involving the New Orleans Saints, who they face at home in Phoenix, Tempe, Arizona next week. We have a doubleheader game coming, of course, Dallas and Kansas City here on Fox. And so for Ronnie Lott and Bill Maas, Tim Ryan reminding you to stay tuned for Fox Sports coverage. We'll be taking it at JB and the rest of the gang in a moment.